Good morning, students. Today we are going to start our second chapter of the civics, and the name of the chapter is the salient features of the Constitution, part 1. We are already done with the Constitution. Now we'll read the features of the Constitution, that what has written in the Constitution. Our first feature is single citizenship. The Indian Constitution provides for a single citizenship. This means that all Indians, irrespective of the state of their domicile, are the citizens of India. In India, a person born in Punjab or in Kerala can only be a citizen of India and not a citizen of the state of their domicile as well. This is done just to end up the differences among the people. Although Indian Constitution makes arrangement for federal structure, that is the existence of center and state, but it provides for single citizenship, which means all Indians, irrespective of the state in which they are born, enjoy single citizenship of India. Unlike the USA, where there is a dual citizenship, the concept of single citizenship has been borrowed from the British Constitution. Second feature is universal adult franchisee. This means that all persons of 18 years of age and above have the right to vote, irrespective of their caste, color, religion, etc. In order to ensure the equality of all in a democratic nation, universal adult franchisee can be said to be the stepping stone. The idea of universal adult franchisee is based on the idea of equality because it states that every adult in the country, irrespective of their wealth and community he or she belongs, has one vote. Next feature is the fundamental rights. The fundamental rights are basic human rights which provide the conditions essential for the all-round development of a human being, and they protect against unjust discrimination among members of the community, and they don't make any distinctions between human beings based on race, color, religion, etc. And fundamental rights give recognition to dignity and equality of all human beings. And your fundamental rights are given in part 3 in your Constitution of India, and they are classified in the following categories. Number 1 category is the right to equality, and it covers your article 14 to 18. And what has written in the right to equality, as it is clear from the name, that all persons are equal in the eyes of law, irrespective of their caste, color, creed, their political and social components. First one is equality before law. It covers your article 14. It guarantees both equality before law as well as equality in protection by law, irrespective of economic status, caste, color, creed and religion. This means that if anybody belongs to any of the caste, if he or she is rich or poor, means they will get equal law, equal punishment for equal crime, and there will be no discrimination. Next is your article 15. It prohibits discrimination on the ground mentioned in the article 14, means whatever has written in the article 14, and article 15 prohibits discrimination. For example, you want to take admission to educational institutions, or you want any shop and you want that allotment of that particular shop, and it have to be made without discrimination mentioned in the article 14. Part B is equality of opportunity. Article 16 provides for equality of opportunity for all citizens in matters relating to employment in an office. Suppose if anybody wants to apply somewhere and he or she wants to get employment in an office, and that office is under central or state government, and it prohibits any sort of discrimination on grounds mentioned in Article 14, and it also allows making of reservation of posts in favor of scheduled castes, because there are 27% of posts in any government service are reserved for SC, ST and backward class people. Abolition of untouchability. What does that mean? It means that if any person, suppose he or she belongs to a SC ST category, and the other person who belongs to a general category, he not allow that SC person to use a public well or a public transport system, then The person who belongs to a general category, he can be punished by law because the abolition of untouchability has been done in the Indian Constitution. D part is abolition of titles. It covers your Article 18 and it states that whosoever living in India, they can't use these titles with their names like Rai Sahab, Khan Bahadur and Maharaja, because these titles are considered a negation of equal status for all. However, titles such as Bharat Ratan etc. given for meritorious public services or other titles in fields of sports, academic honors or military services are not covered by this provision. Yes, your second right is the right to freedom and it covers your Article 19 to 22, and Article 19 of the Constitution as amended guarantees 6 basic and valuable freedoms to the citizens of India. And the first freedom is freedom of speech and expression, means you have the freedom to give any of the speech, but it should be in a positive way. Freedom to assemble peacefully without arms, means people have the right to come together or assemble for many reasons, such as to hold meetings, to protect their rights, to discuss their problems or business, to exchange ideas and share views, etc. And everyone also has the right to carry out peaceful demonstrations, public meetings and rallies. Next is freedom to move freely throughout India. Yes, you have the freedom to move anywhere in India. Next is freedom to reside and settle in any part of India. You have the freedom that you can live in any of the state. Suppose some of your parents may be in a transferable job, so if they got transferred anywhere in India, so you have the right to reside anywhere in India. Freedom to practice any profession, trade or business. This is up to you that whatever profession you want to go for, you have the right to do so. Students, we do have the right to freedom, but there are some limitations also, like emergency, not absolute, laws of parliament, protection in respect of conviction for offence. You can read it out from your book on page number 129. Yes, you have right to freedom, but free speech and expression need to be defined in terms of the rights versus responsibilities of individuals and their governing bodies, so certain lines aren't crossed and freedom aren't abused. Means yes, you are using your freedoms, but it should be in a positive way, that you are not creating any kind of trouble for someone. Next is right to information. RTI has been included in Article 19(1) of the Constitution, and this is also one kind of fundamental right. And Right to Information Act has been implemented by the Government of India to provide a right to its citizens to ask the relevant questions to the government and the various public utility service providers, and in a very practical manner. This was done to replace the earlier Freedom of Information Act of 2002. The primary objective was also to help citizens get faster service from the government agencies, as they can ask why is a certain application or a process being delayed, and mainly to fulfill the aim of a corruption-free India. And this act gives the citizens of India the right to seek and receive information from the government and other public authorities. You can ask them certain questions, you can take copies including certified copies of documents, you can inspect documents, you can take samples of materials, and any citizen can file an application under RTI with the public information officers. And once you have passed RTI, that particular organization has to reply within 30 days. Yes, your next right is right to privacy. It is also a fundamental right. A right to privacy is explicitly stated under Article 12 of the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It means that no one shall be subjected to arbitrary interference with his privacy, his family, his home or correspondence, nor to attack upon his honor and reputation. And on August 24, 2017, the Supreme Court of India declares the right to privacy as a fundamental right. The Supreme Court confirmed that the right to privacy is a fundamental right, and it is a right about all information of a person and the choice that he makes. And it also declares that it is not an absolute right, it is subjected to reasonable restrictions. Means this is not a right that you can ask for, that this is my fundamental right and it should be fulfilled. There are some reasonable restrictions on this right. The Supreme Court clarified that the fundamental right to privacy is not absolute and it will always be subjected to reasonable restrictions. And what type of privacy includes in this? Like preservation of personal intimacies, the sanctity of family life, marriage, etc., and a right to be left alone. So students, this is all about this chapter, and we'll continue the preventive detention in next video. You just read the chapter thoroughly, and if you have any doubt you can contact me anytime.